So welcome back. We have been discussing on the different types of natural selection, and third type of natural selection is the disruptive selection. Disruptive selection results from the exposure of different parts of the same population to divergent selection pressures. That means if there is a population of individuals, okay, of a particular species, and just imagine some of the individuals are exposed to one kind of selection pressure and the rest of the population is exposed to another set of selection pressure. Obviously these two subsets of the population will start to develop certain adaptations suitable to that particular smaller environment or micro environment or micro habitat, we can say, okay, and this will result in disruptive selection, right. So disruptive selection results from the exposure of different parts of the same population to divergent selection pressure. As a result of this, a previously homogeneous population gets broken up into several different adaptive forms of subgroups. Okay, when the before this kind of a division into subgroups, what happens is the population had individuals of the same kind, homogeneous, genotypically homogeneous population, okay, almost homogeneous population. But what happens is once the disruptive selection acts, so subgroups develop, and each of the subgroup have its own different kind of adaptive features. Okay, this selection occurs when different microhabitats are available in the same environment. So a population is residing in an environment, and there are certain individuals living in a smaller microhabitat and the rest of the population in different another set of microhabitats. So what happens is in each of the microhabitat there will be a smaller kind of environmental conditions, okay, and this environmental conditions will be different from the environmental conditions in the other microhabitats. So the individuals in each microhabitat has to develop certain kind of adaptations to suit their survival in that particular microhabitat, okay. So for instance, suppose a population, here you can see with respect to the example, right, just imagine, suppose a population of small mammals living in an environment where two major kinds of food particles or food source are available in different microhabitats, okay. For instance, just say one under bushes and the other among grasses, okay. So each require different tooth shapes or sizes for utilizing the food available in these microhabitats. So here disruptive selection will lead to the production of two different phenotypes with regard to tooth sizes or shapes in the same population. That is, those individuals which are living in the microhabitat with food under the bushes, those individuals have to develop the tooth shape or tooth size suitable for utilizing the food among under the bushes, okay, and it will be different from the individuals which have to adapt themselves to utilize the food among grasses. So two kinds of populations emerge out in such a condition. One is having tooth size or shape to use the food under the grasses, another set of individuals who develop tooth size and shape suitable for harnessing the food among the grasses, right. So here what happens is from the same population disruptive selection happens, and it will lead to the production of two different phenotypes, okay. Here the phenotype is with respect to the tooth size or shape, right. From the same population two different phenotypes emerge. Sometimes the population will be split into subpopulations, each one having a slightly different gene pool. This initiates the process of adaptive radiation, okay. I hope it is clear, okay. This is with respect to the disruptive selection, okay. So three kinds of selections are there: stabilizing selection, directional selection and disruptive selection, okay. Stabilizing selection usually happens when the whole condition is optimum, the environment, there is no environmental change happening. Whenever there is a sudden environmental change, whenever there is a shift from the environmental existing conditions to another, the directional selection happens. Directional selection in the sense, among the variants, those individuals with a favorable variation for the changing environment will be selected, while all others will be removed, okay. Disruptive selection is in which from the same population, two kinds of individuals develop because of the what you call differences in the environmental conditions within the microhabitats of a larger environment. Okay, so disruptive population, same time two different kinds of population emerging out. Okay, it is also referred as diversifying selection. Disruptive selection is also referred as diversifying selection. Okay, now when we spoke about industrial melanism, we saw that in the same population of Biston butularia, or what you call as the peppered moth, two kinds of individuals existed, isn't it? Even in the same what you call area, two kinds of individuals were existing, but different proportions. So when two forms are existing in the same species, it is known as a polymorphism. Okay, so this is what we are going to deal with next. Polymorphism. A typical example is the peppered moth. Okay, and here we can see the polymorphism is actually existence of two or more distinct types of individuals within a particular species or within a particular population. Okay, in some cases the different types may result from differences of the environment, but in genetic polymorphism, as revealed by the peppered moth, the different forms, or what we call as the morphs, okay, morphs, have a genetic basis, and their distinctive characters are transmitted from the next one generation to next generation in a Mendelian manner. Okay, just like how Mendel proposed the inheritance, just like that it got transmitted from one generation to another. Generally, the different forms are controlled by a series of alternative alleles, thereby giving a variety of different genotypes. Okay. Now, genetic polymorphism is defined as the occurrence together in the same locality, occurrence of two or more discontinuous forms of a species in the same locality in such proportions that the rarest of them cannot be maintained merely by recurrent mutation. Okay. That means, and at the same time, when two or more discontinuous forms of a species, discontinuous in the sense it is like extremes, okay, there is no intermediate forms, okay, that is discontinuous forms. Okay, so when two or more discontinuous forms of a particular species exist at the same time together in the same locality, that is what is referred as polymorphism. Now, two types of polymorphism can be recognized. One is the transient and the second is the stable. Transient, obviously the name itself says it is not stable, it is temporary, it is unstable. Okay, so transient or unstable polymorphism is a situation in which two forms coexist while one is in the process of replacing the other. Clear? That is, two forms may be existing at a time, two forms will be existing together, but that particular condition is unstable because at any time the one may overpower the other and one may completely replace this other one. Okay, so here the with a typical example of peppered moth we can explain. That is, the peppered moth, we can see that one of the form, it for example in industrialized area, earlier when before the industrial revolution, the tree trunks were covered with lichens in an unpolluted conditions. So there light colored pepper moth were present in plenty, right? But after industrial revolution, as there was increased soot deposition on the tree trunk, the tree trunks started to become black, right? So light colored pepper moth, it slowly started to like adapt to the changing conditions and it developed melanic forms. So at a time, melanic forms as well as the light colored pepper moths both were present at the same time, but slowly and slowly the dark colored pepper moth completely replaced the lighter colored ones. So there is an example of transient polymorphism. Okay, even the development of resistance to insecticides by insects, that is also results in transient polymorphism. Now the second kind, it is a stable polymorphism. In stable polymorphism, the different forms occur in fairly constant proportions within a given population whose members are freely interbreeding. So all of them are selected for selected by natural selection. Okay, so there may be a balance of selective agency so that no form tends to be eliminated. So if there are one or two more than one forms, obviously all these forms may remain selected at every generations. Okay, and natural selection may not be eliminating any of the variation. right. So, the typical example is that of the sickle cell anemia, sickle cell anemic condition in humans. Then human blood groups, obviously there are multiple allelic forms, isn't it? So, it is a genotype, multiple genotypic Moths are existing, okay, isn't it? So, in the same population of humans you can find people with blood group A, blood group B, blood group O, blood group, isn't it? So, 4 different genotypic forms existing in the same population, and all these are getting selected at every generation, isn't it? There is the natural selection never tries to eliminate any of the blood groups. So, that is a kind of stable, or it is referred as balanced polymorphism. Okay, and this type of polymorphism is important in evolution because it permits a certain amount of variation to be retained in the population. If what you call natural selection tried to select any one of the blood group alone, or favored any one of the blood group alone and started to eliminate the rest, what will happen? The population will become genotypically homogeneous, isn't it? Only one with only one blood group found in all the individuals of the population. So, variation will be reduced. So, this kind of stable or balanced polymorphism will actually permit a certain amount of variation to be retained in the population, and the population may be able to react very rapidly to a changing environment and thus avoid extinction. Okay, if there is variation, obviously it is what you call advantageous to the population. Whenever there is an environmental change, the individuals of the population, at least some of the individuals of the population, may be very rapidly adapting to the changing environment. Okay, so that is what happens with respect to the 2 different kinds of polymorphism, the transient polymorphism or the unstable polymorphism, and stable or the balanced polymorphism. Okay, so thank you.